Okay, this is Algebra 4.2, writing equations in point-slope form. So in 4.1, just as a really quick review, you wrote an equation in what's called slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form looks like this. It's y is equal to mx plus b. And then to be able to write the equation, you needed the slope and the y-intercept. So a different form of a linear equation is what's called point-slope form. And point-slope form looks like this. So make sure you're writing this in your notebook. Maybe you'll need to pause the video, but y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times a quantity, so parentheses, x minus x sub 1. That's called point-slope form. And the reason why it's called point-slope form is it tells you a point on the line. So a point on the line is x sub 1, y sub 1. And then it also tells you the slope of the line. So the slope of the line, just like for slope-intercept form, is m. So to be able to write an equation in point-slope form, you need a point. That point is x sub 1, y sub 1, and you need the slope. So if I were to make some connections between point-slope form and slope-intercept form, for each of the forms, you need two things. Slope-intercept form, you need the slope and the y-intercept. Point-slope form, you need the slope and a point, or a point and the slope. That's why it's called point-slope form. So we'll take a look at a couple of examples here. If you watch my video on Algebra 4.1, I said there are like different level problems, easy problems, more difficult problems, and possibly harder problems. So kind of the same with point-slope form. There's some easier problems. If you're given a point on the line and the slope, then it should be kind of easy to write your equation in point-slope form. You're just plugging things directly in. So first example here, I'm going to write an equation. Specifically in point-slope form, always follow the directions. Sometimes you're asked to write an equation in point-slope form. Sometimes you're asked to write an equation in slope-intercept form. But I want to write an equation specifically in point-slope form of a line given the following. And so for my first example, I'm given a point on the line is negative 2, 1, and then the slope, m, is negative 3. If I wanted to, I could actually graph that line. I would start with the point, negative 2, 1, go negative 2 or 2 to the left of 0, 0, and then 1 up, graph that point, and then use the slope, negative 3 or negative 3 over 1 to go down 3 and right 1 to make another point, and then draw my line through those 2 points. But here, what I'm asked to do is write an equation in point-slope form. So here's the point that's given. Just like if I were trying to find the slope, I would label the points x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. If I were given 2 points, here I'm only given 1 point. So that point is x sub 1, y sub 1. And then this is already labeled. The slope is negative 3. So we have the two things that we need to write our equation in point-slope form. The point and the slope. So again, here's what point-slope form looks like. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times a quantity x minus x sub 1. Especially now that everything's labeled, I'm just going to plug everything into this equation. I'm not going to plug in a specific number for y. Y minus y sub 1 is 1. So y minus 1 equals m. The slope is negative 3 times a quantity, so parentheses x minus negative 2. So here's where it happens again. You're subtracting a negative. That's the same as adding the positive, so plus 2. And that's all you need to do. This is your equation in point-slope form. Leave it like that. Okay, you don't need to distribute. You don't need to solve it for y or anything else. That's what's given, negative 2, 1, and then the slope is 3, and then you plug those numbers in. Okay. Second example, now that you've seen one example, I'll ask you pause the video once I give you the information, see if you can write the equation on your own, and then come back and double check it in a minute or two. But I'm given a point that the line passes through, the slope of the line. I want to write the equation specifically in point-slope form. You want to write the equation in point-slope form. Okay, hopefully you pause the video. Here's one of the things that you should be doing, labeling your point, x sub 1, y sub 1. And then going back to the equation, it's written right here in case you've forgotten it. It should be in your notes. So this is your equation for point slope form. So now I'm plugging in -2 for y sub 1, -1 for x sub 1, and then -1 for the slope, or m. So it should look like this: y minus y sub 1. So y minus -2. Subtracting the negative is the same as adding the positive. Don't just leave it like this: y minus -2. Even though that's mostly correct, it's not completely correct. So change it to addition. It's equal to m. The slope is -1 times a quantity, or parentheses, x minus x sub 1. So minus -1, x plus 1. And then that's your equation in point slope form.